This is Kirtop, and here are 100 archaeological discoveries that have frightened people worldwide. The future of humanity on Mars. Elon Musk does not give up on the idea of colonizing Mars. He is confident that by 2027, automated Starship spacecraft will land there, and by 2031, the first people will be able to set foot on the red planet. But how will society be organized on Mars? Elon Musk claims that the Martian colony should be completely self-sufficient, without any dependence on Earth's governments. At the same time, he advocates abandoning representative democracy in favor of direct, popular governance. A similar system existed in Veliki Novgorod. From 1136 to 1478, citizens would gather at the Vech and make important decisions themselves. Laws, peace treaties, the rule of the prince. Essentially, Musk is proposing a similar model for the first Martians. In his opinion, Mars is a chance for humanity to start with a clean slate and survive if Earth ends up on the brink of disaster. The Band of Holes in Peru. In the Pisco Valley in Peru, there is a mysterious place known as the Band of Holes or Monte Sierpe. This narrow strip of land is 14 to 20 meters wide and about 1,500 meters long, covered with thousands of shallow pits. Their exact purpose remains a mystery, although scientists have put forward many theories. The site first gained fame thanks to an aerial photograph by Robert Shippey, published in the 1930s in National Geographic. For a long time, archaeologists avoided Monte Sierpe. It was only in the 1950s that Victor von Hagen studied the pits and suggested that they were empty graves, estimating their total number at 5,000. Later, John Hislop put forward the theory that the pits were used as storage facilities, similar to those found in other parts of Peru. Each hole is about a meter in diameter and up to a meter deep. They are made in different ways. Some are dug into the embankment, others are surrounded by stone walls. Modern research, including a detailed map created with a drone in 2015, has shown that the strip of holes consists of 56,000 pits, divided into blocks with unique patterns. Nearby are Inca roads and the remains of storage buildings, and the pottery found indicates their origin from the 15th century, when the Incas conquered the Chincha people. Archaeologist Charles Stanish believes that the pits may have been used to measure agricultural tribute that local farmers gave to the rulers. Other scholars, such as Jean-Pierre Protzen, believe that the line of holes may be even older. He believes that the pits may have been used to store fertilizers, such as excrement. To this day, the line of holes remains one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in Peru. Who created it, why, and how still remains a subject of debate and ongoing research. Elements of life in asteroid samples. NASA analyzed samples from the asteroid Bennu, delivered by the OSIRIS-REx mission, and found organic compounds in them, which are key to the origin of life. Among the findings are amino acids, ammonia, and formaldehyde, which could have participated in chemical reactions that led to the emergence of proteins and DNA. Scientists confirmed that the samples contain 14 out of the 20 amino acids used by living organisms on Earth. Minerals indicating the possible presence of water were also found. This data strengthens the hypothesis that asteroids like Bennu could have delivered important components necessary for the origin of life to Earth. The first biological weapon. Scientists have confirmed the shocking story of biological weapons used 800 years ago in Norway. During excavations in the ruins of Sverdsborg Castle, archaeologists found the remains of a person who was thrown into a well to poison the water in the midst of the medieval civil war in Norway. This story is described in the Scandinavian chronicle The Saga of Sverre, but many historians doubted its authenticity. According to the saga, during the siege, the group supporting the archbishop and known as the Baglers, not finding the king in Sverdsborg, decided to use a corpse as a means to poison the water. To confirm this, a team of scientists conducted a DNA analysis of the remains found at the bottom of the well. Back in 1938, archaeologists discovered the intact remains of a man at a depth of 6 meters in the well. But further research was interrupted due to World War II. It was only in 2016 that scientists were able to resume excavations, which showed that the person from the well was a man aged 30 to 40 with a skull injury, which may have been the cause of his death. There were no clothes around him except for a preserved leather shoe. DNA analysis and radiocarbon dating confirmed that the remains do indeed belong to the period of the conflict. UFO over Sakhalin. A video featuring a mysterious object spotted over the mountains of Sakhalin in Russia is gaining popularity online. According to Newsfroll, the video appeared on social media and quickly went viral. It was reportedly filmed from a military helicopter. The footage shows a metallic disc slowly hovering over a mountain ridge, reflecting sunlight. Its size clearly exceeds that of a standard drone. At one point, the object changes its trajectory and disappears behind the clouds. The recording features the distinctive sound of a helicopter, which supporters say proves the footage is real. The only question is, what was it? A mysterious substance in the coffin. In the northwest of China, in the Xinjiang region, archaeologists made a shocking discovery. In an ancient coffin about 3,600 years old, where Bronze Age mummies were found, a mysterious substance was discovered on the neck of one of the women. Today, scientists are confident that this is the oldest cheese in the world. Researchers extracted DNA from this substance and found out that it is kefir cheese made from cows' and goats' milk. This discovery is important for understanding the origin of kefir and the evolution of probiotic bacteria. Xiaomei Fu from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, together with her colleagues, analyzed the bacteria, yeast, and proteins in the sample, which made it possible to identify the ancient cheese. Research shows that kefir cheese was important for people of that time. It may have been placed in the grave as part of burial customs or as food for the afterlife. Interestingly, two types of cheese were found in the coffin, one made from goat's milk, the other from cow's milk. Genetic studies have shown that the kefir microorganisms in the cheese are similar to modern strains of kefir found in East Asia and Tibet. This raises the question of kefir's geographical origin. It was previously believed that kefir originated in the Caucasus, but new data suggests the possibility of a second source in Xinjiang. These results show that kefir spread around the world in different ways, and its history is closely linked to the evolution of human culture. Isaac Newton predicted the end of the world. Isaac Newton is one of the greatest minds in history. He changed humanity's understanding of the world by formulating the laws of motion and gravity. But his interests went far beyond physics. He was a mathematician, astronomer, alchemist, and theologian, striving to understand the world in all its fullness. One of the most curious discoveries associated with Newton was his predicted date for the end of the world, the year 2060. He calculated it based on the Bible, specifically the book of Revelation. Newton believed that the 1,260 days mentioned there actually meant years. Counting this period from the year 800, the time of the founding of the Holy Roman Empire, he arrived at 2060. However, the scientist himself noted that this was just a hypothesis. Unlike modern scientists who separate science and religion, Newton saw them as a single whole. He believed that the world was arranged according to divine laws, and he tried to uncover them. At the same time, he was skeptical of hasty prophecies and warned that incorrect predictions could discredit the Holy Scripture. Today, his views may seem unusual, but in his time, natural philosophy encompassed not only science but also the search for divine purpose in nature. Newton was not only a great physicist, but also a man who sought truth in all its forms. Ritual table in Tava Tepe. In Azerbaijan, a team of Italian and Azerbaijani archaeologists discovered a 3,500-year-old ritual table in the ancient settlement of Tava Tepe. This place is located near the borders of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. During the excavations, a round adobe structure was found. The structure includes a kitchen area and a ritual table. Between 1,500 and 750 BC, during the late Bronze and early Iron Ages, nomadic peoples probably used Tava Tepe as a resting place before traveling through the mountains. Archaeologists also found a ritual table with 8 recesses and many ceramic containers, bowls, vessels made of black-fired ceramics, and long flat pebbles for stirring food. In the corner of the kitchen, a thick layer of ash and clay tokens with fingerprints have been preserved, which could have served as food ration tokens. At the entrance, there were originally wooden columns, and a thatched roof covered the entire complex, which was about 15 meters in diameter. Outside, animal bones and discarded pottery were found, as well as human figurines placed in sacrificial pits, and the fact that the structure was sealed along with all the pottery indicates its ceremonial nature. The secret of a 4,000-year-old artifact. In 2001, the archaeological world was puzzled by a stream of unique antiquities appearing on the antiques market. Jewelry, weapons, and ceramics with exquisite designs and inlays appeared out of nowhere, raising questions about their origin. Works distinguished by their complexity and intricate symbolism were attributed to Central Asia, but it was later discovered that they were not forgeries. An investigation in Iran in 2002 revealed the secret behind these discoveries. The arrests of the dealers led to the discovery of the location of the artifacts in the Halil River Valley, where a flood in 2001 revealed an ancient Bronze Age necropolis. Local residents began selling the artifacts, thus revealing the existence of a previously unknown culture. Archaeologists were amazed by the scale of the discovery and began studying the site, excavating the main necropolis of Maktubabad and two burial mounds, Konar Sandal South and Konar Sandal North, uncovering remains of ancient structures and evidence of a highly developed civilization. In 2003, under the leadership of Yusuf Majid-Zadeh, systematic excavations began, lasting several years and revealing amazing artifacts and evidence of the existence of an ancient city here. Debates about the origin and significance of the Jiroft culture continue. Some scholars believe it to be the legendary Arada mentioned in Sumerian texts. Others suggest an association with the ancient kingdom of Marha. Despite differences in opinion, excavations at Jiroft have provided invaluable information about an ancient civilization, leaving much room for further research and discoveries. 2 alien bases on Earth. American lawyer and ufologist Danny Sheehan claims that he possesses video recordings confirming the existence of alien bases on Earth. According to him, one of the largest such bases is located in the Pacific Ocean, between the west coast of Mexico and Guadalupe Island, possibly even beneath the ocean floor. Sheehan is known for his investigations related to UFOs, and in recent years he has actively brought in witnesses to testify before the U.S. Congress. He is convinced that the UFO phenomenon is real and that ships carrying living beings from other planets or dimensions have been present on Earth for a long time. According to him, the underwater base is being monitored, and there are already hundreds of videos showing unidentified objects diving underwater and then resurfacing. In addition, Sheehan claims that the military is trying to shoot down these ships and capture their crews. He warns that the government is hiding the truth, but confirmation of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations is inevitable. Bright beads. Archaeologists studying the Bronze Age in northern Italy have discovered thousands of glass beads, over 3,000 years old, in the ancient settlement of Fratesina. These bright artifacts shed light on the earliest art of glassmaking in Europe. The team of archaeologists found a Bronze Age clay furnace surrounded by tools and remnants of glass objects in a structure that has no equivalent in Europe from that era. Among the finds are numerous multicolored beads that have preserved vibrant colors ranging from blue to red, from white to black, with patterns of swirls and spots. Even after thousands of years, their colors remain bright, as if they have just come out of the furnace. The color durability is explained by the unique recipe of the local glass, made using sand from the Po River, which gave the items their longevity. Fratesina, which flourished from 1200 to 1100 BC, was a center of craft production and trade. In addition to glass, amber and ivory were processed here, and they also worked with bronze, gold, tin, and iron. The search for the divine machine. After the death of Isaac Newton, it turned out that he was also fascinated by alchemy. This discovery shocked the scientific community, since alchemy was seen as a mystical delusion far from rational knowledge. In 1936, the economist John Maynard Keynes bought a chest of Newton's unpublished manuscripts at an auction. Instead of scientific treatises, there were his notes on esoteric theology and alchemy. Newton believed that the universe was an encrypted message from God and searched for the key to unraveling the divine plan. He studied the works of the Rosicrucians, a secret society from the 16th century that searched for the philosopher's stone and the elixir of immortality. His library contained 169 books on alchemy, including translations of classic occult treatises. Although today alchemy is seen as a pseudoscience, for Newton it was part of the great search for truth. He saw no boundaries between science, philosophy, and mysticism, believing that everything was interconnected. Perhaps it was this broad perspective that allowed him to make his revolutionary discoveries. Ice Age art. The mammoth from the Alb-Donau region in Germany is one of the oldest examples of Ice Age art, dating back about 35,000 years. This miniature figurine is carved from mammoth ivory, which in itself is a testament to the skill and artistic sensibility of prehistoric people. Discovered in the 1930s, the artifact became an important link in the study of early human art. The uniqueness of this piece lies not only in its age, but also in its level of detail. There are notches visible on the surface of the figurine, possibly symbolic or decorative, which add an air of mystery to the artifact. They may be early examples of communication or expressions of ancient people's spiritual beliefs. Archaeologists suggest that such figurines might have been used for ritual purposes, serving as hunters' talismans or symbols of luck. The mammoth, symbolizing strength and endurance, probably played an important role in the worldview of primitive tribes. An engineering marvel in Egypt. Once again, ancient Egypt continues to amaze modern researchers. This time, an amazing tunnel was discovered beneath a temple in the ancient city of Taposiris Magna, which experts call a geometric marvel. The tunnel was found at a depth of 13 meters. It is 1,305 meters long and about 2 meters high. It is carved into sandstone, and its design resembles the famous Eupalinian tunnel on the Greek island of Samos, which is considered an engineering marvel. The exact name of the tunnel is still unknown, but some of its sections are flooded with water. Archaeologist Martinez, who has been searching for the lost tomb of Cleopatra VII since 2004, believes that the tunnel could lead to important discoveries. Taposiris Magna was founded around 280 BC by Ptolemy the Cone, one of Cleopatra's ancestors. Archaeologists believe that the temple was dedicated to Osiris and Isis, deities with whom Cleopatra was closely associated. The team also plans to explore the Mediterranean Sea, as a series of earthquakes between 320 and 1303 caused part of the temple to collapse into the water. Earlier in my videos, I talked about how tunnels connecting Lake Mariotte to the Mediterranean Sea were discovered. Portal to the Underworld. Last year, a unique artifact called the Portal to the Underworld was returned to Mexico. It had been stolen and taken to the United States in the 1960s. Recently, scientists completed the restoration and returned it to its original location in central Mexico. This monument, created by the Olmec civilization, was long considered a gateway to the otherworld. In the 1960s, it was stolen from Chalcatzingo, a well-known Olmec archaeological site, where it depicted a mythical cat with parted jaws, symbolizing the entrance to the spiritual world. The monument dates back to the pre-classic period, created between 800 and 400 BCE. The thieves broke the artifact with hammers to make it easier to transport, but they did not damage its main features. It was smuggled into the United States, where it ended up on the illegal antiquities market. In 1968, the artifact ended up in the New York Museum under the name Monster of the Earth. Archaeologist David Grove recognized the Olmec origin of the monument and noted its similarity to other sculptures in Chalcatzingo, especially the eyes shaped like the Olmec cross and the bromeliad flowers near the mouth. Petrified bacteria, theory of extraterrestrial origin of life. The theory requires strong evidence. In the middle of the 20th century, scientists began studying meteorites in hopes of finding traces of extraterrestrial microorganisms in them. However, the results turned out to be inconclusive. In 1965, seeds were discovered in the Orgay meteorite, but it was soon found to be a hoax. In 1996, NASA announced that fossilized bacteria had been found in the Allen Hills 84001 meteorite, which came from Mars. However, many scientists believed that this could have been the result of chemical processes. Although there is no convincing evidence for the panspermia theory, it is known that some microorganisms are capable of surviving in space. For example, the bacterium Streptococcus mitis accidentally survived a flight to the moon and back aboard Apollo 12. In 2008, an experiment on the ISS showed that bacteria can exist in outer space for more than a year. Nobel laureate Francis Crick suggested that life could have been deliberately spread by an advanced civilization. Perhaps in the future, humanity itself will start seeding life on other planets. Artificial eye. Before you is the oldest known artificial eye in the world, which was found in the burial of a woman in the burned city of Shahi Sukhteh in Iran. This unique artifact is more than 4,800 years old. The eye prosthesis was a hemisphere made of a lightweight material based on bitumen paste. It was covered with gold, and there were slits on its surface imitating the pupil, which gave it a realistic appearance. The prosthesis was secured with two small holes through which a cord, similar to those on modern eye patches, was threaded, allowing it to stay in place. The woman wore this eye during the day to hide the empty eye socket, and at night she carefully kept it in a leather pouch, which was found along with other burial items. Such a level of craftsmanship and attention to appearance amazes even modern researchers. This discovery testifies to the high level of medical and craft knowledge of ancient civilizations, as well as the desire of people of that time to preserve their appearance and maintain their dignity. Martian meteorites. Hello from space. Seriously, these stones came to us directly from Mars. It sounds unbelievable, but it's a scientific fact. How did pieces of the red planet end up on Earth? It all started with a giant impact. Either an asteroid or a comet collided with Mars, ejecting fragments of rock into space. Because the planet's gravity is about 2.5 times weaker than Earth's, the debris escaped Mars and set off on an interplanetary journey. Some of them took millions of years to reach Earth. One of the largest meteorites, Tau Taudini 002, was found in Mali in 2021. It weighs 14.5 kilograms, and the most famous meteorite is Allen Hills, discovered in Antarctica. It arrived 13,000 years ago, and inside it, scientists found possible traces of Martian life. Remains of people with huge heads. Scientists from the University of Honolulu and the Chinese Academy of Sciences made a unique discovery by finding the remains of a previously unknown species of ancient humans, Homo juliensis. This species is believed to have gone extinct about 200,000 years ago. At the Zhujiayao site, archaeologists found 16 skeleton stone tools and animal remains. A distinctive feature of the new species was their massive brain volume, which was 1,700 cubic centimeters, significantly larger than that of Homo sapiens at 1,300 cubic centimeters, or Neanderthals at 1,400. However, scientists emphasize that a large skull does not always indicate higher intellectual abilities. Instead, it could have been an adaptation to the conditions of the Ice Age, when the climate became cooler and harsher. Homo juliensis hunted wild horses, ate their meat, and used their hides to make clothing. They lived in small groups, which made them vulnerable to climate changes and other external threats. Interestingly, the dental structure of Homo juliens is similar to that of the Denisovans, another hominid lineage that existed in the late Quaternary period, about 300,000 years ago. However, like many other ancient species, Homo juliensis likely disappeared due to the emergence of Homo sapiens, who genetically displaced the local populations in Europe and Asia. The Ghost Appalachians are a mountain range that is older than Saturn's rings and even the ozone layer. Its rocks were formed a whole 1.2 billion years ago, when the continents were still united as one. This ancient land has inspired many legends, making the mountains among Earth's most mysterious places. Among the dense forests and deep gorges, local residents have told stories for centuries about mysterious creatures, like the Mothman, the Catawampus, the Meshnik, and the Flatwoods monsters. That's why today's social media is filled with discussions about mystical phenomena in the Appalachians. Scientists believe that the unique topography of the region has contributed to the formation of a rich ecosystem. Ancient forests and swamps, hidden from civilization, retain an air of untouched wilderness. Folklorists note that in this landscape, it's easy to feel the presence of something ancient and powerful. Myths about mysterious creatures not only frighten, but also serve as a warning. As before, stories help people be more cautious around the wilderness. Perhaps there is something more in these legends, a memory of a time when humans were just beginning to understand the world. An interesting amber cup, which is about 3,270 years old, was found in a large round barrow in Hove, England, during excavations in 1856. Amber is a material known for its beauty and is associated with the sun and life force. In ancient times, it was used not only for jewelry, but also for ritual purposes. According to researchers, the cup that was found could have been an item of high status belonging to an important member of society or a chief. Creating such a cup required exceptional skills, as amber is a fragile material and working with it demands patience and craftsmanship. The discovered cup indicates that people of that time had access to rare and valuable materials, which also confirms the existence of trade connections and exchanges with other regions. The fact that the cup was buried together with its owner speaks to its significance for burial rituals or belief in the afterlife. Flying machines of ancient aliens. Here's an artifact decorated with strange symbols and images that resemble flying machines. Some researchers believe that this could be ancient evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. The shape of the object is unusual. It resembles a capsule or a ship. Inside, there are figurines with large heads and almond-shaped eyes, which are often associated with descriptions of extraterrestrial beings. Symbols are engraved on the side surfaces, resembling the writing of ancient civilizations, diagrams, or even star maps. This artifact could have been part of a ritual object reflecting the beliefs of an ancient people, or perhaps evidence of something much more incredible. Perhaps we are looking at an artifact left behind by representatives of another civilization. Bronze artifacts in Turkey. In the ruins of the ancient Ayanis Castle located in modern-day Turkey, archaeologists discovered bronze shields and a helmet that are about 2,700 years old. These artifacts, found under a 20-meter layer of debris, were created during the time of the Urartian kingdom and were probably used for ceremonial purposes to honor the god Kaldi, the protector, in war. Ayanis Castle was built as a fortress and royal residence during the reign of King Rusa II in the 7th century BC. However, it stood for only about 20 to 25 years before it was destroyed by an earthquake. Recently discovered bronze shields and a helmet were found in the ceremonial hall of the castle. The decorations on the helmet and the intricate patterns on the shields confirm that they were used in religious rituals. Previously, other bronze items were found at this site, many of which were dedicated to Haldi, the chief god of the Urartians, who was believed to protect them during battles. Despite minor damage, the artifacts are well preserved and restoration will help fully restore them. Ayanis Castle continues to be the richest source of Urartian bronze artifacts in Turkey, and each discovery provides more information about the culture of this ancient kingdom. The most mysterious people of Europe. Archaeologists have discovered a Roman-era altar in a monastery on Mount Ariondi in northern Spain. It is dedicated to the mysterious deity Lorake. The find, dated to the 1st century AD, is important for studying the religious practices of the Vascones, one of the most mysterious peoples of Europe. This altar is one of 4 known altars to Lorake, but the only one found during excavations. The artifact was discovered at the bottom of a well in the Dunastabi monastery. There is an inscription on the altar. Valeria Vitella fulfilled her vow to Loraka freely and deservedly. Mount Ariondi, inhabited since Roman times, is located in the valley of the Gulina River, not far from Pamplona. Its strategic location made this place important throughout history, as evidenced by the remains of Roman infrastructure and a later monastery dedicated to Saint Stephen. Little is known about Lorak, and worship of this deity is evidenced by only 3 other altars. The new discovery expands the known geographical spread of the cult of Lorak. A mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered a wall carving depicting objects that resemble modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest ones were found in Turkey, in the ruins of the megalithic temple Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been found in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, which raises many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe that the ancient ruins actually depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of the handbag might have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern handbag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in the 9th millennium BC, and its builders were unlikely to know about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods are holding a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remnants of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they still cannot say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of a Syrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC, where a winged jinn is depicted holding an object resembling a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried buckets for water and sacred date palms, not handbags. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings have indeed been found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico, among the Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD. A canopy of gold. Recently, Mexican scientists invested 9.5 million pesos in acquiring 3 unique documents from the late 16th century. This investment opened a new chapter in history, providing valuable information about the period when the Spanish arrived in the lands of modern Mexico. We are talking about the San Andres Tetepilco codices, created at the turn of the 16th and 17th centuries, which vividly illustrate the events of that time, including the era of the rule of Izcuatl, the 4th ruler of Tenochtitlan, and founder of the Aztec Empire, and the arrival of Hernán Cortés. These rare codices were purchased for the National Library of Anthropology and History thanks to the efforts and support of individuals and organizations. A payment of 9.5 million pesos made it possible to return them from private hands to public ownership. Analysis showed that the codices were made from amate, a traditional paper made from tree bark using natural dyes, which highlights the high craftsmanship of their creators. The authenticity of the documents was confirmed thanks to joint work with experts from various scientific institutions. The codexes of San Andres Tetepilco stand out among other artifacts due to their unique combination of indigenous traditions and European influence. They contain texts in the Nahuatl and Spanish languages, written in the Latin alphabet. This treasure provides an opportunity to delve deeper into the study and understanding of a key period in the region's history. The unusual shape of the asteroid Oumuamua. In 2017, astronomers detected a mysterious object that passed through the solar system. Named Oumuamua, which means messenger from afar in Hawaiian, it became the first known interstellar asteroid. But its most amazing feature is its shape. With a length of 230 meters and a width of only 35 meters, it turned out to be abnormally elongated, which is not typical for asteroids. Chinese astronomers suggested that such objects are formed as a result of tidal disruption, when a celestial body comes too close to a massive planet or star and breaks apart. In their calculations, the most likely source of such asteroids is a system with a red dwarf and a gas giant located close to the star. Some scientists believe that Oumuamua could have been a fragment of a planet, or a planetesimal, the building material of young worlds. However, even under the best conditions, such objects form extremely rarely, so its appearance is a true interstellar rarity, possibly the only one in our entire history of observations. The Cursed Emeralds. These emeralds, known as the Cursed Emeralds, became one of the most tragic discoveries in the history of treasure hunting. They were discovered by Jay Miskovich, a man who dedicated his life to searching for ancient treasures. In 2010, off the coast of Florida, he managed to find a cache of emeralds valued at several $1 million. At first glance, it seemed like luck that could change his life for the better. However, the discovery soon attracted the attention not only of the media but also of federal agencies, including the FBI. Legal proceedings and investigations began, aimed at determining the origin of the precious stones. Complicated legal battles and public pressure turned Miskovich's life into a nightmare. Constant accusations and pressure from the authorities made his existence unbearable, and in the end, he committed suicide. This tragedy became the basis for the legend of the cursed emeralds, which brought their owner not wealth and success, but pain and suffering. Today, this story serves as a grim reminder that behind great discoveries, there can sometimes be terrifying consequences. Square structure on Mars. The Mars Orbiter spacecraft captured a mysterious square structure on the surface of Mars. The object, with its distinct lines and irregular angles, sparked a flurry of discussions. Ufologists were quick to declare it an artifact of a vanished civilization, but skeptics urged not to jump to conclusions. Scientists believed that the square could have a very simple explanation, anything from geological processes to a camera defect. They cite as an example a square formation in Tasmania that appeared as a result of erosion. However, conspiracy theorists are not satisfied with such explanations. They compare the discovery to the Egyptian pyramids and fantasize about ancient Martians. Elon Musk also joined the discussion, suggesting sending astronauts to investigate everything on site. Meanwhile, social media users found out that the images had been edited to enhance the effect. Nevertheless, even in the original photo, you can see a square. What is it? Is it an illusion, a technical error, or really something unusual? 9 out of 10 commandments. The oldest known stone tablet with 9 of the 10 commandments carved on it is being prepared for auction. Experts suggest that the price could reach $12 million. The marble tablet dates back to between 300 and 500 AD and was discovered in 1913 during the construction of a railway on the southern coast of modern Israel, near the sites where early synagogues, mosques, and churches were located. The marble tablet, about 2 feet tall and weighing 115 pounds, contains 20 lines of text in Paleo-Hebrew. It first appeared on the market in 2016 and was sold for $850,000. For a long time after its discovery, the importance of the tablet remained unclear. At one point, it was even used as a tile at the entrance to a house, which caused some of the letters to become worn. In 1943, archaeologist Hugh Kaplan acquired the tablet and identified it as a Samaritan Decalogue, created by the Samaritans, an ancient religious group whose beliefs were based on the Old Testament but differed from Judaism. The text on the tablet almost completely matches the biblical commandments, familiar to both Christians and Jews. However, one of the commandments, "Do not take the Lord's name in vain," is missing. Instead, there is an instruction to worship on Mount Gerizim, which reflects the religious beliefs of the Samaritans. New Maya ruins? Archaeologists are finding more and more ruins of the Maya civilization thanks to new technologies and satellites that help detect structures hidden beneath dense forests. As professor of archaeology at Texas Tech University, Brad Ook said at a NASA conference, in the past 10 years, scientists have discovered more Maya sites than in the previous 150 years. The main tool that helps with this is LiDAR technology, laser scanning. LiDAR allows us to see through dense forest vegetation and detect structures that were previously hidden. With this technology, archaeologists are discovering new ruins in the territories of modern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. One such project is a study in the northeastern part of Belize, where a team of scientists and archaeologists is exploring an area of 650 square kilometers. In just a few days, scientists discovered 28 new large sites. The ancient technologies used by the Maya for water management and agriculture may prove useful even in our time. Tim Murta from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte noted that the Maya adapted to changing climate conditions by creating terrace systems and reservoirs to cope with droughts. These ancient methods can serve as an important lesson in the context of modern climate change. An inevitable encounter with a UFO. What will happen if we discover extraterrestrial intelligence? Senior astronomer of the SETI Institute, Seth Shostak, is convinced that such a moment is inevitable. According to him, signal search technologies are improving and their effectiveness doubles every 2 years. Contact with an extraterrestrial civilization would change history. Shostak compares such an event to the discovery of America by Europeans, but on the scale of civilization as a whole. In his opinion, there will be no panic. Rather, people will show curiosity and try to establish contact. But if the aliens are dangerous, hiding is useless. Earth's radio signals have long been spreading throughout the universe. The only difficulty is deciphering the response. The religious question is also important. History offers examples of how contact with a more advanced culture undermined people's faith. The discovery of aliens could lead to a similar crisis. But what if we only find microbial life, say, on Mars? It's less spectacular, but it will show that Earth isn't the only place life can begin. Shostak believes that if we receive a signal, it might be sent not by biological beings, but by advanced artificial intelligence. Perhaps the future of civilization lies not in living organisms, but in thinking machines. Twice as heavy as a whale, the prehistoric cow lived about 40 million years ago in the water. German paleontologists from the State Museum of Natural History in Stuttgart discovered its remains in southern Peru, where there was an ocean in prehistoric times. They found 13 vertebrae, each weighing about 100 kilograms, 4 ribs, 1.5 meters long, and a giant femur. The excavation site was a shallow bay that divided the equatorial part of the continent in half. Scientists determined that the remains belonged to a creature that lived about 40 million years ago. The creature weighed approximately 340 tons. This makes it the heaviest animal ever to exist on Earth. Even giant brontosaurs were lighter. As a result, scientists concluded that these huge creatures swam slowly, made only shallow dives, and fed on what they found on the bottom: algae, mollusks, and small fish. In their way of life, they resembled sea cows, which were exterminated by humans in the 18th century. Outwardly, they most likely also resembled sea cows, although in reality they were actually ancient whales of the Basilosaurus genus. The mystery of the Alakacom monoliths. In the south of Nigeria, in Cross River State, about 300 stone monoliths have been discovered, created from the 16th to the early 20th century. These monoliths, arranged in circles and made of volcanic stone, are astonishing in their diversity. Their height ranges from 30 centimeters to 1.8 meters. The unique carvings on their surfaces draw the most attention, which include repeating patterns, stylized faces, and mysterious inscriptions that may be an ancient form of writing. The local people belonging to the Ikoi tribe call these stones atal, or akwanshi. Distributed among 30 communities, the monoliths often form perfect circles, becoming the central element of settlements or an ornament in forest areas. Made mostly of basalt, the monoliths also include limestone and sandstone specimens. All of them are decorated with carvings featuring distinct human traits and symbols that reflect tribal affiliation. These monoliths carry a profound meaning connected to the ancestor cult. According to local beliefs, each monolith symbolizes an ancestor whose soul continues to dwell in the stone, connecting the living with the spirits of those who have passed. This tradition allows the connection between generations to be preserved and maintains respect for the history and culture of the Ikoi people. Nevertheless, the monoliths are surrounded by many mysteries. Their history, the meaning of the carved symbols, and their purpose remain undisclosed to this day. Despite years of research, the ancient inscriptions on the stones remain undeciphered, presenting a challenge for archaeologists and historians. Currently, the monoliths are under threat due to weather exposure, erosion, and vandalism, which makes their preservation a pressing issue for the entire world. Giant jade dragon. Chinese archaeologists have discovered the largest jade dragon of the Hongshan Neolithic culture. The artifact was found in the Yuanbao Shan stone tomb located in Koshudi-ao, Hoshun Aokan, Inner Mongolia. The jade dragon measures 15.8 centimeters in length, 9.5 centimeters in width, and 3 centimeters in thickness, and it is a unique find with no analogs in this region. The excavations also revealed architectural remains, fragments of human bones, tombs, hearths, and various artifacts, including jade and painted ceramic items. Among them were tripod bowls and basins. Carbon-14 dating showed that the site belongs to the late Hongshan culture and was created more than 5,000 years ago. Iranian interceptors, and UFOs. On the night of September 18th into the 19th, 1976, a mysterious event occurred in the sky over Tehran, which went down in history as the Tehran Incident. The report about this case was immediately sent to several U.S. agencies: the State Department, the CIA, the Pentagon, and the NSA. It all began with an alarming call to the commander of the Iranian Air Force. The air traffic controller saw an unidentified object in the sky that wasn't in civilian or military registries. An F-4 Phantom fighter was scrambled, but when it approached the target, communication was lost and the onboard systems failed, and the pilot was forced to retreat. The second interceptor encountered an even stranger phenomenon. A cylinder separated from the large glowing object and headed straight for the aircraft. Lieutenant Parviz Jafari tried to open fire, but the weapons system failed, as did the ejection seat. Only when he began to move away did the equipment start working again. There were many witnesses to the incident: military personnel, airport controllers, and passengers of an Egyptian airliner. The object was detected by radar and even by an Iranian satellite. This case remains one of the most well-documented in the history of ufology. Whether to believe in UFOs or not is a personal matter, but those who saw it with their own eyes have no doubt. A skeleton from different eras. In Belgium, archaeologists found an unusual skeleton made up of bones from 5 people who lived several thousand years apart. The remains were discovered at a Roman-era cremation cemetery in Pomerol, near the border with France. As it turned out, this strange individual is 2,500 years older than the Roman period. Moreover, radiocarbon analysis showed that the bones date back to the Neolithic period, that is, between 7,000 and 3,000 BC. Excavations of this cemetery began back in the 1970s, and among 76 cremation burials, scientists discovered an unusual burial, a skeleton in the fetal position. According to initial assumptions, it was Roman, since a Roman-type bone pin was found next to the skull. However, a detailed analysis in 2019 led to unexpected conclusions. The skeleton was assembled from bones belonging to different people, and the pin itself dates to around 69 to 210 AD. Scientists suggest that the Romans might have accidentally disturbed a Neolithic burial, adding the pin to the skull to complete the composition. However, it remains a mystery why and how different remains ended up being assembled together. A dragon's egg? Mysterious discoveries often become the subject of the boldest theories, linking them to aliens, ancient civilizations, or cryptids. Sometimes the desire to solve a mystery leads to wishful thinking, but perhaps this story is truly special. In 2020, a resident of Arkansas, while digging a hole for a pool, stumbled upon a strange object. It had a flattened, egg-shaped form and was just over half a meter long. The man immediately posted photos on social media, causing quite a stir. Cryptid theory supporters concluded they were seeing a dragon egg deformed by Earth's pressure. Indeed, the find resembled either a petrified monster or something unknown hidden inside a stone shell. But there were also skeptics who claimed that it was just an unusual geological formation. The mystery deepened when the owner of the find soon refused to make any comments and did not submit the object for analysis. Whether it was an ancient artifact, a trace of an extraterrestrial civilization, or simply a quirk of nature, remains anyone's guess. The iconic collection Missa in Agenda Defunctorum from 1733 is a rare artifact from the early 18th century, created for celebrating Requiem Masses. This unique collection, used by priests for reading prayers at the altar, stands out not only for its content, but also for its dark symbolic design. The book's binding is decorated with an image of a skull and crossbones, emphasizing its purpose in rituals related to death and remembrance. The collection includes chants and texts of the Latin liturgy that were used for the repose of the souls of the deceased. The skull symbolism on the cover reflects the contemporary view of the transience of existence and serves as a reminder of the inevitability of death, themes characteristic of the Baroque era. Such books were works of art, symbolizing the mystique and grandeur of Catholic rituals. It is known that bindings with such symbolism were often made specifically for churches or noble families who wanted to emphasize their connection to religious tradition. This collection was probably used in monasteries, at court, or in a chapel, serving as a reminder of the need to pray for the repose of souls. Tarim mummies. In the Tarim Desert, located in the western part of China, perfectly preserved mummies were discovered, whose age exceeds 4,000 years. These mummies are striking because of their condition, preserved thanks to the dry climate of the region. Chinese archaeologists can't believe it, since they have Caucasoid features, which raises many questions about the migrations and cultural exchanges of ancient peoples. Studies have shown that the mummies have high cheekbones, deep eye sockets, and light hair, which is unusual for the population of this region. These findings cast doubt on the previous theory that the Tarim Basin was inhabited exclusively by Asian peoples. DNA analyses have confirmed the mixed origins of these people, indicating complex migration routes connecting east and west as far back as ancient times. The mummies were found in various burial sites, many of which contain rich grave goods, including textiles, weapons, and household items. The mummies of the Tarim Desert continue to be studied by scientists from all over the world, revealing more and more aspects of ancient history. They are an archaeological phenomenon. The burials of the heavenly guest. In 1901, an expedition of British archaeologists led by Lord Williams Campbell conducted excavations in one of the ancient tombs in the desert near the Pyramid of Giza. When they opened the massive sarcophagus, the researchers made a sensational discovery. Inside was a mummy that was significantly different from all known remains of ancient Egypt. The height of the being exceeded 2.5 meters, and its skull was unusually elongated and narrow, resembling the depictions of gods on the walls of Egyptian temples. The bones turned out to be significantly denser than those of humans, and their structure indicated increased strength, as if designed for life in different conditions. The strangest thing was that there were no traces of embalming or autopsy on the body, yet it was perfectly preserved. It was in stasis. Archaeologists found engravings on the sarcophagus referencing a messenger from the stars who arrived in the pharaoh's era. The hieroglyphs hinted at beings who descended from the sky and taught the ancient Egyptians architecture and astronomy. Some symbols resembled star maps, and on the inner walls of the tomb, there were images of flying disc-shaped objects. This discovery gave rise to many theories, from alternative histories about Egypt's connection with extraterrestrial civilizations to the suggestion of a lost chapter in human history. However, shortly after the excavation, the artifact disappeared without a trace. It was sent to a private collection, and mentions of it were quickly erased from official reports. Ancient means of payment. A bronze coin attributed to Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea, was minted between 26 and 36 AD during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. This small artifact is a vivid symbol of the power and influence of the Roman Empire in the territory of ancient Judea. Coins from this period reflect not only economic activity but also the political and religious aspects of the era. On the obverse side of the coin, there was usually an image of a cult object associated with Roman gods, which emphasized Rome's desire to impose its culture. However, this caused conflicts with the local Jewish population, for whom images associated with pagan beliefs could be considered blasphemous. On the reverse side of the coin, symbols such as the cornucopia or kettle drums were often depicted, symbolizing prosperity and control. The inscription on the coin contains a reference to Tiberius, reinforcing his authority as a ruler. Stone sarcophagus. In Italy, archaeologists discovered an untouched sarcophagus that is 2,500 years old, which had remained hidden underground near the volcanic lake Bolsena. During the excavation of the ancient Etruscan settlement of Bisenzio on the shore of the lake, several graves were found, dating from between 700 and 500 BC. To the scientists' surprise, none of the burials had been looted, which is rare for such an ancient site. Of particular interest was a simple stone sarcophagus that had preserved its contents in their original state. With the help of an excavator, the archaeologists lifted the heavy lid and discovered an almost completely preserved skeleton inside. Next to the remains was a small clay vessel which, according to experts, could symbolize personal belongings or an offering to the deceased. The find is unique and gives researchers a rare opportunity to study the remains of an ancient Etruscan. Scientists hope that further analysis of the skeleton will provide valuable information about the life and culture of these people. The mysterious photo. This picture raises many questions and debates. It shows two mysterious figures, and some consider them evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial beings. On the left, there is a tiny creature with thin limbs, a large head, and distinctive almond-shaped eyes. Its skin has a strange color, as if it's covered with a shimmering film. On the right, there is another figure preserved in a vessel with liquid, resembling exhibits that can be found in scientific laboratories or anatomy museums. Such findings are often associated with conspiracy theories about UFO crashes, secret laboratories, and experiments. Some claim that this is evidence of extraterrestrial life, while skeptics consider them to be skillfully made dummies or anatomical models. Whether these are real artifacts or just man-made fabrications remains an open question. But one thing can be said for sure: such images fuel interest in the mystery of extraterrestrial intelligence and make us wonder, what if we are not alone in the universe? The burial in the Katyn forest. The discovery of mass graves in the Katyn forest near Smolensk, Russia, still causes a lot of controversy. In 1943, German troops advancing on the Soviet Union discovered numerous graves of Polish officers. The Soviet Union denied its involvement, claiming that the Nazis were to blame for everything. According to the official view in Western countries, in 1940, by order of the highest leadership of the USSR, thousands of Polish officers, police officers, scientists, and public figures who had been taken prisoner during the Soviet invasion of Poland in September 1939 were executed. These mass killings carried out by the NKVD became known as the Katyn Massacre. This discovery caused widespread international reaction, becoming an important argument in accusing the Stalinist regime of committing war crimes. For Poland, Katyn became a symbol of national tragedy and betrayal by the Soviet government, which they had previously considered an ally. However, not everything is so clear-cut. There is also another opinion, supported by documents, regarding this tragic event. In 1943, when the Nazis suffered defeat in the Battle of Stalingrad, the leadership of the Third Reich, particularly the powerful propaganda machine of that time led by Goebbels, wanted to create internal discord. The Nazis themselves executed the Polish officers and then supposedly discovered them. This was done in order to point to Stalin's repressions and to sow discord among the Allies. However, some Polish journalists did not believe the Nazis and conducted their own investigation. Some of the documents confirming the crimes of the Nazis were prepared for the Nuremberg Tribunal, where the Nazis were tried. However, under strange circumstances, everyone who tried in any way to whitewash Stalin's regime at that time began to die. In a surprising way, documents disappeared, as did everyone who was in any way involved in investigating this tragedy. Nevertheless, the Nuremberg International Military Tribunal charged Hermann Göring, the number 2 Nazi, and Alfred Jodl, who served as chief of the Wehrmacht High Command, for the Katyn crime. These are facts documented by official records. It's hard to believe that the Soviet army was involved in this execution, especially since the Nazi allies have an even more terrible tragedy involving the Poles on their record. This is the Volhynia Massacre, which many people now try not to remember. At the same time, this event is thoroughly confirmed and documented all over the world. Was Nikola Tesla an alien? Nikola Tesla was a brilliant inventor whose ideas were ahead of his time. However, his incredible achievements have given rise to many theories, including the suggestion that he was not human, but an alien. There is a record in declassified FBI documents stating that Tesla may have come from Venus. Margaret Storm, the author of the book Return of the Dove, claimed that she gained access to this information through an interplanetary communication device supposedly created by Tesla in 1938. The report states that Tesla's engineers were in contact with his spacecraft, and that he himself was a Venusian who was left on Earth in 1856. This version seems fantastic, but the fact that such statements ended up in official FBI documents raises questions. Keep in mind that at the height of the Cold War, intelligence agencies gathered all types of information, even unconfirmed theories. Despite the mystique surrounding his name, Tesla remained a key figure in the history of science. He registered about 300 patents, and his discoveries laid the foundation for technologies such as radio, television, and wireless energy transmission. He registered about 30 patents, and his discoveries laid the foundation for technologies such as radio, television, and later became an insatiable enigma for scientists.
Технологии как радио, телевидение и беспроводная передача энергии. Даже спустя...
For decades, his ideas have continued to inspire engineers and scientists. Greetings from the Neolithic. This magnificent artifact, a dagger with a bear's head, was found in the Pihajoki area, Finland, and dates back to the Stone Age, around 42,000 BC. Its exquisite design, made from striped stone, testifies to the high level of skill of ancient craftsmen. The bear's head on the dagger's handle is not just a decoration, but possibly symbolized strength, endurance, and spiritual guidance. In a cultural context, it might have been used in rituals related to hunting or the veneration of animals that were considered sacred spirit protectors. The bear in the mythology of ancient Finnish tribes was a highly revered creature associated with the world of ancestors and nature spirits. There are no obvious signs of use on the blade, which may indicate its ceremonial significance. Such an artifact may have belonged to an important person in the community, for example, a chief or a shaman, who used it for special rituals. The oldest hairstyle. This is an amazing discovery. A preserved hairstyle about 3,300 years old, found on the head of an ancient Egyptian. The intricately woven braids are striking in their complexity and excellent preservation. In ancient Egypt, hairstyles were of great importance and were often used to express status, age, and social position. Hair care included the use of oils and aromatic products, which also contributed to their longevity. Preserved details such as braids allow scientists to better understand how important appearance was to the ancient Egyptians and what skill was required to create such hairstyles. Kabayan mummies' mummification is primarily associated with ancient Egypt, but this practice also existed in other cultures. One of the most unusual methods was used by ancient Filipinos who mummified their dead with the help of smoke. Their method had nothing to do with bandages or the traditional embalming of the Egyptians, but it was no less effective. One of the largest burial sites of this type was discovered at the end of the 20th century in a cave in the province of Kabayan, which gave the name fire mummy. According to scientists' estimates, the remains found are 500 to 700 years old. The mummification process began while the person was still alive. The dying person was given a very salty drink to dehydrate the body. After death, the body was placed in a sitting position and smoked for a long time over a fire. This process could last several months, after which the mummy was placed in a pine coffin and left in a cave. This method allowed the bodies to be preserved in remarkably good condition, even after centuries. It is believed that this practice had not only a ritual, but also a spiritual meaning. The souls of the deceased remained a part of their people. Books made from people. In the 18th and 19th centuries, there was a grim practice of binding books in human skin. This rare and shocking phenomenon was called anthropodermic bibliophagy. Some copies of medical or philosophical treatises, as well as personal diaries, could be bound in the skin of deceased people, most often in their memory. For example, some doctors used the skin of their patients to bind medical texts in order to immortalize their contribution to science. Books like this have become the subject of increased interest and research. Modern technologies, including DNA analysis and chemical tests, make it possible to determine whether the binding is really made from human skin. This phenomenon reflects not only the medical and scientific interests of the era, but also attitudes toward death, memory, and the body. Today, anthropodermic books are rare artifacts that evoke both horror and fascination, as well as serve as a reminder of the strange and contradictory traditions of the past. Gravity by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a brilliant artist, inventor, and scientist of the Renaissance era, but his mind proved even more insightful than expected. Recent research has shown that he anticipated the basic principles of gravity long before Isaac Newton. In his notes found in the Codex Arundel, da Vinci drew a diagram of an experiment. A jug moves in a straight line, and grains of sand pouring out of it fall straight down. He analyzed its trajectory and realized that falling is governed by acceleration. This means that Leonardo understood that gravity is a force that causes objects to accelerate. But he went even further. In his notes, he used geometric figures to describe the patterns of motion. He noticed that if a jug moves with the same acceleration as the falling particles, a perfect isosceles triangle is formed. This was the first step toward calculating the gravitational constant. Although his mathematical calculations were inaccurate, the error was only about 3%. Da Vinci did not have time to bring his ideas to completion, but if his discoveries had been noticed earlier, perhaps the science of gravity would have developed faster. 500 years later, we realize how far ahead of his time he was. A miniature marvel. This tiny almanac with an embroidered cover created in France around 1780 is a true masterpiece of 18th century decorative art. Its dimensions, just 3 by 7 centimeters, make it not only a work of art, but also an intriguing collector's item. Such miniatures were popular among the French aristocracy and served both practical and aesthetic purposes. The cover is made of embroidered fabric, adorned with an intricate floral pattern, which symbolized not only the taste of the era, but also the high level of needlework craftsmanship of the period. The red and blue decorative elements along the edges add extra elegance to the piece. Such almanacs were often used as gifts, accompanied by personal inscriptions or poems, adding even more personal value to the item. Its small size suggests that it was intended to be carried in pockets or reticules, allowing the owners to display their refined taste. It may have contained brief notes, calendars, or even love messages, making it a witness to the intimate moments of people's lives in that era. An observatory without a telescope. Before the invention of the telescope, astronomers used primitive instruments to observe the sky. One of the most outstanding astronomers was Tycho Brahe, a Danish scientist who achieved remarkably accurate results thanks to instruments such as the astrolabe and the armillary sphere. His data on the positions of planets and stars were much more accurate than any previous observations. Tycho Brahe compiled the first star catalog, which included more than 1,000 stars, becoming an important reference for subsequent scientists. In 1572, he observed a supernova, which disproved the Aristotelian idea of the unchangeability of celestial objects. His collaboration with Johann Kepler led to the formulation of the 3 laws of planetary motion, which became the foundation for the work of Isaac Newton. In 1576, King Frederick II of Denmark gave Tycho the island of Hven, where he built the Uraniborg Observatory. It was the first observatory specifically built for astronomical observations. The observatory included living quarters, astronomical instruments, and an alchemical laboratory. Tycho Brahe's main motto engraved in the library read, "What a person is matters more than what others think of him." After the death of Frederick II, Tycho lost support and was forced to leave Hven in 1597. After his death, the observatory was destroyed by order of the new king, Christian IV. Nowadays, Uraniborg and the nearby Stirneborg have been partially restored and are part of a museum dedicated to the life and legacy of Tycho Brahe. The Hjortspring boat was found in the Hjortspring Bog in Denmark and is the oldest plank-built vessel in Northern Europe, dating back about 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, weighs 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The planks of the boat were made of linden, the oars from maple, and each end had curved extensions. This boat is an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, demonstrating the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of that time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple was used for the oars because of its hardness and durability. The Oxfordshire Mirror. Today, a mirror is a common object, but in ancient times it was considered a magical artifact. In front of you is a bronze Celtic mirror found in Didcot, England. It was made in the 1st century BC, and it is one of 18 similar finds that have survived to this day. In the Iron Age, such items were incredibly rare and belonged only to a select few, possibly priests or noble women. So, what was it used for? For beauty? For rituals? Or maybe for communicating with another world? In ancient cultures, mirrors were often considered portals to the other world, and perhaps this mirror also played its role in shamanic rituals. Adorned with elegant patterns, this artifact remains one of the most mysterious discoveries in Britain. Its true purpose is lost to time, but who knows? Maybe it really held something more than just a reflection. The Inca had a unique attitude toward their deceased rulers, considering them not simply departed, but continuing to live and rule even after death. The mummies of the rulers were preserved and honored as if they were alive, possessing their own lands and wealth. Amazingly, the possessions of such mummies continued to be managed by their servants, and the mummies themselves took part in important rituals and even meetings. It was believed that these rulers were able to give advice and influence society, remaining the eternal masters of their lands. Over time, this created difficulties, as significant territories ended up under the control of the dead, which hindered the distribution of resources and the management of land by the living. The influence of ruler mummies posed a challenge for Inca society, especially with limited resources. The Incas tried to maintain a balance between honoring their ancestors and the needs of the living, which makes their culture unique and deeply symbolic. This phenomenon highlights how closely spiritual and practical life were intertwined among the Incas. UFOs in Russia are a topic that has always fascinated people. Mysterious objects in the sky have been seen at all times, and ancient chronicles and myths are full of references to strange celestial phenomena. Of course, most of them can be explained from a scientific point of view: optical illusions, natural phenomena, or man-made objects. But about 3% of cases remain unanswered. In Russia, interest in UFOs is also high. The first mentions of strange celestial phenomena can be found in old Russian chronicles. For example, in 1111, during the battle with the Polovtsians, chroniclers recorded the appearance of mysterious celestial forces, and in 1240, something similar was observed during the Battle of the Neva. Of course, it's hard to say exactly what our ancestors saw, but the fact remains: mysterious objects in the sky have been noted throughout history. In Soviet times, the study of UFOs was approached more systematically. In 1977, one of the most famous cases occurred, the Petrozavodsk phenomenon. At that time, a glowing object was observed in the sky, and its nature was long debated. In the end, the official explanation was that it was a satellite launch. Overall, the UFO Commission in the USSR concluded that most sightings were rocket launches, atmospheric phenomena, or weather balloons. But despite the scientists' skepticism, people continue to observe mysterious objects. Reports come especially often from the Urals and the Chelyabinsk region. In 1990, local historian Vitaly Chernetsov spoke about a terrifying flying object over Lake Zhiratkul, which seemed to be taking water from the reservoir. And in 2003 in Chelyabinsk, eyewitnesses saw a UFO emitting such a bright blue light that you could read by it. Another place of power is the Perm region, more precisely the village of Malepka. This place is called the Russian Bermuda Triangle. Researchers and tourists regularly come here, hoping to see a UFO. Ufologists even claim that they found fragments of an unknown device here, containing pure tungsten metal, which is rarely found in nature. Altai is no exception either. In 2007, local residents observed a huge glowing sphere that lit up the night sky, and then there was a loud bang. Some say it was a meteorite, but no evidence was found. And in 2010, student archaeologists filmed a video of an object that was hovering over the taiga. The mausoleum of Imam Reza is one of the most important religious complexes in the Islamic world, and a center of pilgrimage for millions of Shiites. The architecture of the complex impresses with its grandeur and refined decorative work. Its magnificence reflects many centuries of Iranian history, during which the complex was repeatedly rebuilt and decorated. The mosaic work, mirror panels, and golden domes that adorn the mausoleum create an atmosphere that transports visitors to another world of spirituality and tranquility. Every millimeter of space seems to come alive with light reflected from thousands of mirror fragments, creating the illusion of infinity. The mausoleum complex includes not only the mausoleum itself, but also mosques, libraries, museums, and religious schools. Valuable manuscripts, relics, and works of art are kept here, symbolizing the rich cultural heritage of Iran. One of the most mystical features of the mausoleum is the ancient legend that prayers spoken here come true. Pilgrims from all over the world come to the tomb to ask for health, forgiveness, or a miracle. Bosnian pyramids. Mysterious structures have been discovered in Bosnia, which some researchers believe may be ancient constructions about 12,000 years old. These massive formations first attracted the attention of archaeologists and enthusiasts in the early 2000s, when Bosnian archaeologist and businessman Semir Osmanagic pointed them out. He claims that the pyramids were created by an ancient civilization and that they are much older than the well-known pyramids in Egypt. The complex consists of several pyramid structures, including the Pyramid of Soma, the Sun, the Moon, and the Dragon. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest and reaches a height of about 220 meters, making it one of the tallest pyramids in the world. Osmanagic and his team conducted numerous studies, including ground-penetrating radar scans and excavations, claiming to have discovered traces of ancient tunnels and stone blocks, indicating the pyramids are man-made. However, not all scientists agree with this point of view. Many geologists and archaeologists claim that these structures are natural formations created by geological processes. They point out that the geological structure of the region and the shape of the pyramids can be explained by natural forces such as erosion and tectonic movements. They remain one of the most mysterious and debated discoveries in modern archaeology. Odessa catacombs. Huge underground labyrinths are hidden beneath Odessa. The year 1813 is considered the first year people stayed there. That exact year is written on the wall. During those years, a plague epidemic hit the city, and the catacombs may have sheltered local residents. During World War II, when the city was occupied from 1941 to 1944, these dark, winding underground tunnels became a secret shelter for heroes, the partisans. Imagine a network of underground passages stretching for more than 2,500 kilometers, where you could get lost like in a giant anthill. It was here, in the darkness and cold, that the partisans set up their secret bases. They lived in these underground tunnels, planned attacks on the enemy, and even printed leaflets calling people to resist. The catacombs were the perfect place for covert struggle. The enemy couldn't easily find or capture them. The partisans used their knowledge of the underground labyrinths to shock the enemy, suddenly appearing where they weren't expected and disappearing without a trace. It was dark, damp, and very hard to live in these underground tunnels, but thanks to their courage and resourcefulness, the catacombs became one of the symbols of Odessa's unbroken spirit. In fact, the history of these labyrinths is so ancient that it has even become surrounded by certain legends. One of them says that deep in the catacombs lives a short man covered in hair. To survive, he feeds on bats. The Starkey Artifact. In 1932, a group of archaeologists exploring the high mountain monasteries of Tibet stumbled upon a strange object hidden in one of the ancient caves. Inside a stone niche, among ritual figurines and scrolls, they discovered a smooth metal disc covered with mysterious symbols. The inscriptions did not match any known ancient language, and the material from which the artifact was made shocked the scientists. It could not be scratched, did not react to high temperatures, and according to analysis, it was an alloy that did not occur in nature. The local monks called the find the key to the heavens and claimed that the disc belonged to celestial visitors who had visited Earth thousands of years ago. Legend says the artifact was part of a device that opened paths to other worlds. Some scientists suggested that the symbols on it could represent a map of the starry sky or a complex system of coordinates. The most intriguing fact was that the disc had unusual properties. If you brought a compass close to it, the needle would start spinning wildly. When illuminated with ultraviolet light, new previously invisible symbols appeared on its surface. Despite numerous studies, the mystery of the artifact has not been solved. Unusual remains of ancient monkeys. In one of the caves on the island of Espanola in the Caribbean Sea, fossilized remains of ancient primates were found, which most likely became prey to a large predatory owl. The discovery was reported in the Journal of Human Evolution. Excavations were carried out in a flooded cave in the Dominican Republic, where archaeologists discovered 7 skulls, 5 lower jaws, and many other skeletal fragments. Scientists concluded that these remains belonged to the species Antilotrix bernensis, which became extinct about 10,000 years ago. According to research, the primates that lived on Hispaniola weighed up to 2 kilograms and probably lived in small families, feeding on fruit. Experts suggest that the remains ended up at the bottom of the cave after an attack by a predatory bird. Professor Siobhan Cook notes that the marks on the bones indicate that these primates fell victim to a large owl. The skull and jaws show damage characteristic of predatory birds. Vikings and UFOs. In 2022, during archaeological excavations in Trondheim, Norway, an unusual game piece from the Viking era was found. This unusual artifact made of soapstone was discovered in an ancient well dating back to the 9th-12th centuries. Strange symbols resembling runes were engraved on its surface. After a detailed analysis, scientists confirmed that this is indeed a runic inscription, possibly meaning battle brother or comrade in arms. But the researchers encountered yet another mystery. In addition to the obvious runes, there were finer lines on the surface of the token, which, upon closer examination, formed a pattern resembling an unknown star map. Some enthusiasts of alternative history suggested that this pattern might be a stylized depiction of an object resembling a disc-shaped UFO. Historians and ufologists have long debated the Vikings' connection to strange phenomena. In the Scandinavian sagas, the fiery chariot and skyships traversing the heavens are mentioned repeatedly. It is possible that ancient warriors encountered phenomena that today could be interpreted as contacts with extraterrestrial beings. A temple for the lion-headed goddess. In Egypt, in the area of Athribis, an ancient temple carved into the rock was discovered. Its age is estimated to be about 2,100 years, and it dates back to the reign of Ptolemy VIII, who ruled from 170 to 116 BC. This ruler is known for his complex political and family history, left many monuments, and the new temple has become an important discovery. Bas-reliefs have been preserved on the walls of the temple, depicting Ptolemy VIII making offerings to the lion-headed goddess Repit and her son Kalant. Repit was the wife of the god Minra, who was associated with fertility. Archaeologists believe that the temple was built for this particular goddess, although its name remains unknown. During the excavation, scientists discovered a hall where temple utensils and amphorae were stored. At the entrance to the room, unique bas-reliefs depicting Repit and Minra were found. Of particular interest is the depiction of Minra surrounded by the Deccan stars, which the ancient Egyptians used for navigation at night. These stars have human bodies combined with the heads of animals such as the falcon and the ibis. The oldest medicine. Recent discoveries in the Grotta des Pigeons cave in Tafaralt, Morocco, are changing our understanding of ancient medicine. Researchers have found evidence of the use of medicinal drugs that are 15,000 years old. Special attention was drawn to ephedra, a plant used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat asthma, bronchitis, and colds. The study is based on the analysis of macrofossils found in late Pleistocene layers. The Grotta des Pigeons cave is known as the oldest cemetery in North Africa, where 34 skeletons of Stone Age hunter-gatherers are buried. Ephedra, found in ritual burials, has healing properties like ephedrine and pseudoephedrine and was used in epidemics. They help with nasal congestion and stimulate the nervous system. The preserved fruits of ephedra found in the cave indicate its use for pain relief and stopping bleeding during trepanation, a skull surgery performed 15,000 years ago and considered one of the oldest in the world. The cave is also known for the ritual of tooth removal, a painful ceremony marking the transition to adulthood. Ephedra likely helped to relieve pain and bleeding, demonstrating its importance in the cultural traditions of ancient inhabitants. These discoveries confirm that as early as 15,000 years ago, people had deep knowledge of the properties of plants, skillfully using them both for healing and for ritual purposes long before the Neolithic era. Paranormal Britain is a land of ancient legends, and ghosts here are not just part of folklore, but a true cultural feature. Research shows that a third of Britons believe in the existence of spirits, and in some regions, they are even revered more than God. Ghost stories are passed down from generation to generation, and it seems that every old house, castle, or even pub has its own mystical story. London, as one of the oldest cities, is literally saturated with ghostly energy. Here, you can encounter a spirit in theaters, on the street, in old hotels, and in churches. In the Tower, one of Britain's most famous places, ghosts have become regular inhabitants. People talk about the appearance of the spirit of Anne Boleyn, who was beheaded by order of Henry VIII, and about mysterious voices coming from the chapel of St. Peter, where many execution victims are buried. But London isn't the only place where the dead resist leaving the world of the living. There are especially many stories connected with castles, whose centuries-old walls remember not only the history of the country, but also the gruesome events of the past. In Windsor Castle, which still remains the residence of British monarchs, they say you can hear the footsteps of Henry VIII, or encounter the ghost of Elizabeth I in the library. In Chillingham Castle, the ghost of executioner John Sage, who tortured 1,000 people, wanders. And in Glamis, at night, the restless shadow of Earl Alexander Lindsay appears, who once rebelled against the king and was cursed to wander forever. These places hold such dark secrets that even modern paranormal researchers admit that there is clearly something unexplainable here. But in Britain, it's not only people who become ghosts. Phantom horses gallop along ancient roads, and in some towns, a mysterious ghost goose has been spotted, appearing and disappearing with incredible speed. Black dogs are seen as the most terrifying, believed in legend to bring misfortune to those who see them. They appear suddenly with similar descriptions reported nationwide. Huge shadows with burning eyes watch travelers and then dissolve into thin air. Reports of encounters with the supernatural often come from drivers as well. Many of these stories are similar. A woman in old-fashioned clothes appears on the road. The driver brakes, thinking he has hit someone, but when he gets out of the car, he finds neither a body nor any signs of a collision. Ghosts are often seen on the River Thames, especially at the Tower's Traders' Gate and London Bridge, where the heads of the executed were displayed in the Middle Ages. Myths and legends about ghosts are woven so deeply into British history that they have become an integral part of it. Old villages, inns, even ordinary streets. It seems that there is no place in Britain without its own spirit. Perhaps many of these stories are just fiction, but people continue to hear footsteps where no one is there, to see silhouettes in their old mirrors and to feel someone's gaze in empty corridors. Even if ghosts are just fantasies, their presence makes Britain's history even more mysterious and fascinating. And do you believe in extraterrestrial life or the paranormal? Share your opinion in the comments below the video. I'd love to hear it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.